Okay, so this is the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, but this does have 5000 mAh battery, a 3000 nits of peak brightness display with about 1300 nits of high manual brightness, plus 1 to 120 Hz and 50 watts of max charging. I want to see what kind of battery life you're gonna get out of this phone. I've already done a battery test of the Nothing Phone 2A, which already did really awesome with a 5000 mAh battery, about 8 hours and 41 minutes in my past test. And this video is going to be all about the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. But I'm going to start off with YouTube with full brightness and maximum audio volume for 1 hour. And I started at 5:53 p.m. Now keep this thing in mind that I'm pushing this phone to the limits as much as I can. So in day-to-day life, you're probably going to get way better battery life than the result that will be declared in the later part of this video. So after 1 hour, it's at 89% with 41-degree temperature at 6:52 p.m. So the temperature was quite high for maximum volume with YouTube watching. Anyway, it was using Wi-Fi at the time. Then I started calling myself at 6:54 p.m. I started that for 1 hour. But this time, the screen was mostly off. Like 98% time it was screen off. But the call was going on, so I put something on the proximity sensor. And after 1 hour, it's at 85% with 36-degree temperature. At 7:55 p.m. I saw that. Then 2 minutes later, at 7:57 p.m. I started gaming at full brightness, again, full volume for 1 hour. And after that gaming session, the phone reached to a 45-degree temperature, the battery temperature I'm talking about, with 69% in the tank at 8:59 p.m. Really a high temperature. Now, next I started doing is YouTube Music, but again, screen was off, but the audio volume was at the max. But that also happened for 1 hour. At 9:09 p.m. I started that, and at 9:59 p.m., after about an hour of music listening, it's at 61% with 40-degree temperature. Kind of weird though. Even though the room temperature wasn't that high, it's probably about 33 degree, but it's quite a bit higher. Now for 30 minutes till 10:36 p.m. I started capturing 4K video with the glip lights on, because even if I turn on my bedroom light, then it will still have certain pixels to work with. After that 30 minutes, the temperature was 47 degrees. That's crazy, and it's really bad though. But the phone battery percentage was 46%. And then I started capturing photos for 30 minutes in different modes. I did take photos like how you would do in real life, like taking a photo, then looking at something else, and then taking another photo, and taking 2 more photos, 2 more portrait photos, this, that, things like that. And after that 30 minutes of photo capturing experience, it reached to 39% with 38-degree temperature. Kind of reasonable. At 11:05 p.m., I started video calling for an hour. At that point, it was using the mobile data instead of Wi-Fi. So after literally 1 hour, at 12:06 a.m., I found out that the phone has reached to 22% battery in the tank with 40-degree temperature. Kind of seems reasonable because the brightness was high, the audio was turned on, plus the front camera was getting used for this 1 hour session. Then I locked the phone till next morning to see the overnight drain. And literally at 7:33 a.m., which is about 7 hours and 30 minutes close to, it's at 19% with the older apps closed automatically. Now, I don't know how that happened. Maybe that's how it saved battery. But thankfully, it wasn't down by that much. It's only 19% down from 22%, which is fantastic. Then I started WhatsApp and Chrome browsing for 1 hour, which does mean that I will scroll in WhatsApp, I will type text in WhatsApp, and then I will also use Chrome in between. And you can see all of that in the settings though. And for that 1 hour, it costed the battery about 11%. So at 8:33 a.m., after 1 hour, it's at 8%. So now it's time for 15 minutes of YouTube Shorts, 15 minutes of navigation, and rest for call. So after 15 minutes of YouTube Shorts watching, it's now at 6%. So that's pretty fantastic. The maximum volume, the maximum loudness is still there. But this time, it was for 15 minutes of navigation. So 15 minutes of navigation costed it quite a bit. And then I started calling to a number, and that 2% of the battery with about 35% brightness and mostly light mode turned on, it took 16 minutes and 21 seconds of calling to kill the full battery. So all in all, the battery life seems fine, good enough, but nothing great. The total screen on time in this time, I have calculated it's 7 hours and 12 minutes. So let's take 7 hours and 10 minutes. So if you compare that with the current generation of phones, then they are mostly higher than that. It would have been close to 8 hours, like 7 hours, 50 minutes or so, or even 8 hours, then I would have said it's a fantastic battery life. But because that isn't the case, then it's still really, really good, but not great. Or probably I would call it good enough if you're not careful with it. So after that, let's do the charging test. At 9:25 a.m., it died and I plugged it in at 9:27 a.m. 30 minutes later at 9:58 a.m., it's at 59%. But that time the phone was actually off. Then I turned it back on, and then 50 minutes later, in total, at 10:19 a.m., it's at 78%. And 1 hour later, at 10:28 a.m., it's at 89%. So almost about to hit the 90% mark. Really great. And then it took 3 more minutes after reaching to 99% to hit the 100% mark at 10:45 a.m. with 50 watts of max charging using the Nothing's own CMF charger, the GAN charger. So the total charging time from 0 to 100 is 1 hour and 48 minutes. That's actually a lot of time to charge the device from 0 to 100. I think the Nothing Phone 2a did probably better than this. It was somewhere close to 1 hour and 20 minutes or so. But hey, still, I'm not hating on it. But that's the reality. So that's probably it. Let me know about your thoughts and your experiences in the comment section below.
You need some really cool wallpapers for your devices, whether it's a tablet or a smartphone or even a laptop? Well, I have some crazy cool 8K wallpapers, stunning designs, and amazing colors. Visit my website, joindavid.com, link down below. And until the next one, bye and take care.